So you just got this giant box. It's the BM1000R. And you're wondering, what is this thing? You open it up and, oh my God, there's a giant toaster oven inside. Nope, it's a coffee roaster. And you got the Behmor 1600 Plus. You were given it, you gave it to yourself, whatever it is. You've roasted coffee before, you haven't roasted coffee before. But there's this big sticker over the door here. Really difficult to get off. You're gonna have to get out the Goo Gone, get off all the sticky stuff. Kind of annoying, but the sticker says, read the manual before you roast. Well, it's true. There's a lot of information in the Behmor manual, but that information is presented in a way that's a little difficult for the person who just wants to get going. So we're making this video to try to cut through all that, get you going on your first roast, but first tell you the key things that you really need to know about coffee roasting in general and about the Behmor before you hit start on the keypad. So the first thing is do read the manual. Second thing is you need a location for roasting. Most people don't want to do it in their kitchen. The Behmor has this catalytic converter on it. It's a great feature to reduce the smoke, but it's still a little too much for most kitchen operations. So you need to locate it somewhere. A lot of people roast on a porch if you can, or outside in a garage. One thing is, you have a sticker on it that says, do not use with extension cords. Well, the fact is most people do use an extension cord. What you need to do if you're going to do that is use a really high quality, thick and short extension cord, as short as possible. The next thing is you're going to have to load your drum with your coffee. So I recommend starting out with a ½ pound. It's the middle setting. This will do a pound, but it's a much longer roast. ½ pound has really good results. Let's open up the Behmor and what's this? Okay. This crazy thing is a chaff tray, and it doesn't really, it kind of traps chaff with these dams here, essentially. It's kind of like a snowdrift. So what you don't want is chaff blowing around the roaster during the roast and going back into the heating elements, which creates a lot of smoke. So this is really nothing. This feature on it that helps it to lower so you can pull it in and out, I basically don't use it. Just pull it in and out. And then you have your drum. So the first thing that I want to tell you about is how to load your drum. This seems like a completely incidental, no-brainer, but I've had a lot of trouble with this over time, and I'll show you why. There's a clasp here, and some drums have a really nice tight fit, and some are a little looser, depending. We're doing a ½ pound. We roast by weight, and we loaded that. And the really important thing here is to be absolutely 100% sure that your clasp is tight. The problem that happens is that sometimes it's been known to open up during roasting or right when you start turning the drum if it hasn't been secured correctly. So just be really careful about that. The second thing you want to do is get the drum into the roaster correctly. It's really important. So the drum has a drive side, which is a square kind of knurl there, and it has a side here that just is suspended by a bracket inside the roasting drum. So what you do is you just angle it in, turn it, and make sure it's on that side. Then sometimes you have to pull it out slightly in order to find your bracket on this side. Move the drum back and forth a little. Make sure the drive side's engaged and this side's engaged. This is really important. And this just pushes back. Close your door, make sure it's nice and sealed. You're ready for your first roast. Before we hit start, let me tell you about something that's really important too. Coffee roasting is not like other kitchen operations. It's, for example, baking bread. You have a slow period of rising and browning, and you stick a fork in it and you see if anything sticks to your tines of your fork, and your bread's done. Coffee roasting kind of ramps up slowly through a yellow browning stage, then suddenly it takes off. And coffee's like wood, essentially. It's cellulose. It's fire material. So coffee roasting has this really dramatic finishing phase. You have to be here during the roasting, especially at that end. You have to be paying attention. The taste of the coffee depends a lot on that, as well as the fire hazard with roasting. So that's why the sticker was on the door. There's another feature with the Behmor that's really important. At 75% of the roast time, this roaster will, if you're not here, shut down on you, and your coffee will not be drinkable. It'll be very disappointing. All you have to do is at 75% of the prescribed roast time, on the control here, there'll be a flashing UN30, UN29. It's going to count down from 30. You're going to have 30 seconds to press the start button. So if you don't do that, your roast will shut down and go into cooling cycle. If you do that, it will continue, and you'll have a nice roasted coffee. And the error message you'll see is error 7, ERR7, if you don't hit the start button. So now is the really easy part. We've loaded your drum. We've got a ½ pound in there, which is what I recommend for first roast. All you need to do is you immediately push ½ pound. You don't have to turn the machine on. So push the 1/2. I'm going to push P1, which is the highest power ramp. And we're going to hit start. I'm going to make sure my drum is turning, that I don't hear any strange sounds, and we're off. We have a 12-minute roast cycle, and I'm going to be here the entire time watching that happen. The important thing if you're just starting to roast is to just get familiar with the smells and the sounds of the roast. It's great to make a log of what you did and see what roast you get, see what you like, what you don't like, make adjustments, bring that to your next roast. A couple other important things is that the cooling cycle on here is rather slow and long. So if you like a dark roast, you need to stop your roast before you hit the stage that you actually like. You're sort of anticipating where it's going to get to as it continues to roast a bit through the early part of the cooling process. So it's better to be conservative, stop your roast early. So I'll be here listening for the smells and the sounds, and I'll just hit the cool button when I say, okay, that's enough. And if it goes all the way through the automated cycle, great. But otherwise, I will probably stop this roast a little early because I like a lighter roast. Another thing that's really a good tip is that every so often you should be roasting 1/4 pound on the setting here with an empty drum. It's part of the maintenance that's covered in the manual. And the other thing is between roasts, really clean out the inside of the roaster. It's great to have a shop vac on a hose and just suck out all the chaff. You don't want that chaff going back into your burners, creating a lot of smoke. But basically, let's just see how this roast turns out.